friends! Today's project is going to take care of a problem, a situation that I have and maybe you do too. I am talking about scrap wood. Scrap wood that seems to multiply exponentially every single time that I work on any project. And I actually built this workbench. This is where you see me all the time. I built this workbench about a year ago, and my goal was to have this right here as scrap wood storage and this space to store some tools, etc. Actually, my routing table. But as you can see, I definitely underestimated myself. So we've got scrap wood all over here. We've got scrap wood back there. We've got scrap wood right there in that little box. And we've also got scrap wood there. So we've got a whole bunch of scrap wood spread out throughout the workshop. Let's take care of that. But before we dive in, this video is sponsored by Agency, who make custom-made prescription skincare. So I have designed a small cart that I am hoping to build out of all of the scrap wood that I have over here. So that'll be awesome, a scrap wood cart made out of scrap wood. So let's see if I have enough boards to build it. But before we get started, if you are new here, I am Annika and I am here to demystify DIY and inspire and empower you to build all of the things confidently using power tools. I share tons of jargon-free tool tutorials and project ideas. So if you aren't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Now, let's go and dig through my scrap wood pile and see what we can get. So the base is plywood and it's going to be 24 inch by 18 inch. And I found this sheet of plywood, which is 21 inch by 24 and 3/4. So I think I'm just gonna go with that. It's actually a piece of plywood that my daughter was using to practice her tap dance on. So it's got a bunch of indents. It's definitely not something I'm going to be using in any of my furniture projects. Now for the rest of the things, I have the cut list right here, which is I need a bunch of 1x3s and 1x2s. And the biggest, the longest 1x3 is 19 inch. So let's go look for what we have. So I dug through all of my piles of scrap wood on my lumber rack, in the box, underneath my workbench, and collected all the pieces that I thought could be used. Okay, so according to my calculation, these are the boards that I need to be able to build the cart. These are just 1x10 boards that I'm going to actually rip them down into 1x2s and 1x3s. And that should actually give us enough boards and material to be able to build the cart. Of course, if you are using 1x2s and 1x3s, then the plans tell you exactly how many you need, and the link to the plans is in the description below. Now, while I rip up all of those boards, let's talk real quick about the sponsor of today's video, Agency, who creates custom-made prescription skincare. A couple of months ago, I started a personalized journey with Agency designed to address the unique challenges my skin faces as a woodworker who is exposed to the elements. Today, I'm here to share the ongoing results. Agency offers dermatology-backed custom prescription skincare tailored for your skin. Remember, it all started with a simple online quiz about my skin concerns and uploading pictures of my face from various angles. Agency sent me a trial kit customized just for my skin, featuring everything from cleansers to moisturizers and even eye formula. With consistent use over the past 2 months, I've felt and seen the improvement. My skin is softer and smoother. And the best part is that if you have any questions or concerns as you're going through the journey, you can easily message your provider. These skincare products have become as essential to me as all of these tools in my workshop because they enhance and protect my skin. I am excited to continue on this journey. You can join me as well. To get started, visit the agency website and take a quiz. The link is in the description below. And now let's get back to those boards. Once the boards were ripped up, I cut them all down to the exact dimensions on my miter saw. And now we are ready for the next step, which is the pocket holes. I am using the Craig 720, but of course any pocket hole jig works. If you are new to pocket holes and want to learn more or figure out which pocket hole jig you need, take a look at the description below. I have a ton of resources and guides that will help you master pocket holes. There are a lot of pocket holes in this project. We're basically making pocket holes on every single end of all of the boards except for the sides. The plans tell you exactly where each of those pocket holes are going to go, so be sure to refer to that. But it took me about probably 15 minutes to make all of these pocket holes. Okay, now let's start putting it together. So the first thing we're going to do is build the front frame for the cart. And this is put together with the 1x3 sides and the 1x2 slats in the front. I'm going to use wood glue and pocket hole screws for this. The clamps make it so much easier to hold everything in place as I add those screws. So now when I went to attach the other two slats, I realized I probably should not have attached the second side just yet, so I could easily put in the two slats. So I took that off and then I measured exactly where the center slat was going to go and attached them. Now I can attach the other side, which I had taken off earlier. And that is the front frame for the cart. Next up, I'm going to build the middle tier. This one's going to have 1x3 slats, and I'm going to start by attaching the bottommost slat. Now the middle slat is actually going to be aligned with the top of the front frame. So I'm going to use the front frame to mark for that and attach my middle slat accordingly. And then I attach the top slat and then the last side, and that makes the middle tier. And I built the back tier in the exact same way. So that's the back, that's the middle, and that's the front tiers or frames. Now I'm going to attach the dividers that make sorting bins inside the cart. And of course, there's going to be 2 on each end, but then the middle dividers can be at any spacing that you wish. I made them so that we have evenly sized bins. These dividers are attached to the middle frame and to the front frame, and the sizes for both of them are different. Of course, remember, I changed up the sizes a little bit from the plans because I had a little bit of a larger bottom plywood. Okay, now let's put everything together. I'm gonna start with the back frame, and I want to make sure that all of the pocket holes are facing the outside. So I lined it all up and I attached them using pocket hole screws and wood glue, of course. Next up, I need to attach the middle tier, and it took me a little while to figure out the best way to go about making sure everything stays aligned. So finally, I took the help of my best friend's clamps. First, I attached the screws going down into the plywood. And obviously, because it's such a tight space, I needed to use my 90-degree adapter to get in there and get those pocket hole screws in. But those clamps were a huge help in keeping everything in place. And then comes the front part of the cart, which I attached exactly the same way. And that is the cart. Now, all that is left is adding some casters to the bottom so that it can be easily moved around. So that is my scrapwood cart. Now it's time to fill it up and take care of this mess of scrapwood. Now, one of the most common issues anyone faces in terms of scrapwood is which boards to keep and which ones to toss. So as a general rule of thumb, anything that is less than about 4 or 5 inches or even 6 inches, anything that's less than 6 inches gets tossed because it's not safe to cut those with any saw. And then there are things like these, which are these little strips that got cut off of a piece of plywood, which may or may not be useful. And if I wanted to, I could just save this and use it for as a straight line, or I really don't know. The truth is, this should probably get tossed. And of course, I've got my dowels. These will stay right here. And now let's see, that's a nice 2x2. So let's put that in there. We've got some plywood pieces. Now, this one, I really don't know what I'm going to do with it. I have them all here. This is a 2x2. So let's put all the 2x2s in here. Got a piece of plywood. That is a 2x6, which can actually be cut down into 2x2. So if I ever need that, I can keep that. Another piece of plywood. Let's decide on plywood in a minute. That is a piece of plywood which has a beveled edge. It will make a great French cleat. However, I don't have the complementary part for it, so I don't know if I want to keep it. Now we have this. This is a pretty small piece of wood. I really don't think I should be holding on to it. See, like these? I don't even know why I'm holding on to these. They get tossed. More dowels. Another random piece of wood. This is not going to be useful. We're going to toss it. Another small piece of plywood. Don't really want to keep this either. Another piece of wood. That gets tossed. So these small pieces of plywood, I really don't know if I'm ever going to use it. This is probably about 6 inches. And this is a little bit more than that, but this also has a cut right here. So this gets tossed. So yeah, we're gonna clean all of this up. And there it is, a scrapwood cart made out of scrapwood filled with scrapwood. My workshop's looking so much neater, and now I can store tools under my workbench.